looking at every possibility and being open-minded to every possibility that could be, and then rolling with it.
Welcome to XPhys Biz with me, Aaron King, a podcast for exercise physiologists and health professionals wanting to grow and scale in business. So welcome to XPhys Biz. I've got one of my team members on, Jessica Romeo, and I got that right?
Yes.
Yeah, cool. Recently married, so name change, just make sure it's all official, and that's all good. So reason why I've got Jess on is so she can tell you all the good, the bad, and the ugly of not just working with me, but working as an employee in an early adopter sort of scenario where you're taking on board roles and responsibilities where not everything's perfect. You're starting a private practice or something similar, and then just how she navigated the whole scenario. Welcome to XPhys Biz.
Thank you.
And yeah, so we started Fit Clinic. I consider this Fit Clinic 2.0 because it's a new iteration compared to where we started with version 1. So initially I started in a commercial gym. I rented out some space. I basically just knocked on the door of a local gym that was close and said, look, can I rent some space out? They said yes. And it was about 3 years of that process to try to get to open our own facility. And that's where you and I met. There was a lot of work prior to that point in the first 3 years. And obviously I've been an EP for 20 years almost. Well, I didn't even, there wasn't even a professional title as an exercise physiologist when I started. So it was good. A lot of things have changed. And then you and I met. Do you remember how we?
Yes, I do. It was a while ago, but yeah, I remember.
So I actually met your dad first.
Yeah.
I was working in some business circles, and one of the people in those business circles said, hey, do you want to come down and train our soccer team? Your dad was playing in over 35s, I think, at the time. And I went down, trained them, and he said, oh, my daughter's an EP. And I said, okay, cool. Do you mind if I meet her? And then we had a bit of a chat. So it was all networking. Everybody here at Fit Clinic is all networked. So that's probably a big thing for people to take on. Looking at network is probably, in my view, the biggest, most important factor. Like, we don't have anyone at the moment that we've hired through more traditional channels and things like that as well. So a little bit about background. I graduated in 2003. So there a little while ago, almost going on 20 years, worked in casual job without much stability. And that's fairly typical of working as an EP, as a health professional. You sort of subcontracting roles. I was made redundant in the only secure role that I kind of had. And that's where I just went, oh, well, I can't really find a job that I want. So I'm going to knock on a local gym and see if I can rent out their space and go from there as well. I also started my MBA and dropped out. So I don't know if you knew that.
I didn't know
I was a
that.
uni dropout. So I thought, well, look, I want to study business to get better at business. And then after the first 2 semesters, I thought, well, you know what? I've actually got to learn business and then figure out myself how to apply it. So why don't I just go straight to the application and research myself and go with that? So I'm actually a uni dropout. Everyone here is more qualified than me, but I'm okay with that. Working my butt off, and you've obviously worked your butt off all year as well, because not everything's worked perfectly, and it's naturally what happens when you're innovating in a space, developing in private practice and things like that. So the initial setup was about 3 years. Getting to that point, I basically wanted to see enough clients, try to get to a point that we could open up our own space, and that's where you came on board and you started. Did you know what you were getting yourself in for?
No. I knew I wanted to be in private practice, and I knew I could see the vision. Essentially, I didn't know what was immediately ahead, but I could see the vision.
So what were the biggest challenges that you came across starting out in a private practice? That was starting from scratch. Like I say, we weren't starting from scratch because there were a few years prior to that, but I consider the Fit Clinic, how it stands now, as a fresh start, because like I said, I was bootstrapping on other people's resources. And then when we opened our own space, that's where I thought, well, that's where it starts from scratch. So What were the biggest challenges?
I think just adapting to every problem that we came across. We had to think on our feet, adapting to, lots of problem solving. We didn't know what was, I guess, what would be the outcome of something that we, tried, or yeah. So that was probably the biggest challenge.
And you were able to handle that, obviously, because you're still here 5 years later.
Yeah.
So, well, what part of your personality, what is it about your personality that meant you could handle that and you could sort of tolerate that? Because that's not for everybody. Some people want to be an employee where everything's systemized from the outset. We're a lot more systemized now, but we weren't in the beginning, and we're still getting better and better.
Yeah.
So what is it about a personality trait of someone that just is willing to go, well, I don't know what's ahead, but I'm keen on it anyway?
Yeah, I think being open-minded, just, looking at every possibility and being open-minded to every possibility that could be, and then rolling with it.
Right. Rolling with it's probably the biggest thing as well.
Yeah.
So because we do have a lot more at the moment going on, but we definitely didn't start like that. You mentioned before you could see the vision and what we were doing. And I think that's probably an important thing to look at is developing a practice with a vision in mind. So start with the end goal in mind and work backwards. And that's how you've obviously been able to still deal with the ebbs and the flows and where everything that happens in starting a business. And I think that anyone that starts in business doesn't really know what's on the horizon, because I think if you knew how challenging some parts were, you wouldn't start.
Yeah.
So, but now it's too late and I'll be a pretty shitty employee anyway if I was trying to get a job for someone else. So that's okay. Obviously I started with some capital built up over the last few years, and now I've got three kids. So I think there's no plan B. So I just got to roll
Make it
with
work.
it.
That's it.
Yeah. So I think that's the important thing is learning the right tools, have people that you can rely on. Like you are, I guess, my right-hand person. You were here from day one because I'm left-handed, so I need a right hand. You got to deal with my shitty jokes as well. Good that you laugh at them. That's nice. So what's been the most challenging thing of working with me? What's the hardest thing working with me?
I think being honest is, I guess, trying to read, because you've got so many things going on in your head. Being a business owner, I can understand that. And trying to kind of read what you want, what you expect, and just trying to decipher all of that and put into something that the outcome, the outcome that you want.
Yeah, so I can take some feedback from that and say, all right, gig. I thought I'm a little bit too direct in some cases as well.
Yeah, you are, definitely. But I think that, obviously you need to be direct, but also so many things going on. You also need to have someone there that understands you and what you need done,
yeah, so,
essentially. Yeah.
Yeah, so we can't have everybody like myself because I'm too all over the place at different times. And I did think that it's funny because you go through studies, you're developing, and you're like, look, I've got to be really detail orientated in what I want to do. I need to submit this assignment. It's got to be 20 pages or some other length like that. And now I'm like, look, give it to me in 2 sentences or I'm out.
Yeah, that's it. Exactly.
So I think
here's the summary, Aaron. That's it. Go.
Good. If it's not in like 4 bullet points, I'm done. If I got to read into a second paragraph, you get like the Simpsons reference where you got Homer and the monkey with the symbols. Yeah, you got that one.
Yeah.
Oh, that's nice because you don't always.
I use that way too often. That one there.
Okay, that's good because not everybody gets my references. I've got to remember that I've been an EP for a little bit longer here, and I make some references, and nobody gets what I'm talking about. But then also I've got to ask the young kids what TikTok is like and stuff like that. So,
sorry, I'm falling in that bracket down too.
Yeah. So we didn't have everything that we had now. So I think if you're going into private practice and you're going into that sort of early phase, I think it's important just to be able to roll with the punches, knowing that not everything's going to be true, correct, exactly where you need it. But I don't know about you, but I don't think clients really care about the bells and the whistles. They just want people to actually care about them.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah. Like in our facility, we don't have as many resources as a commercial gym. We don't have a machine that does everything, but people still come to us over a commercial gym, or they're looking for an extra service and they're okay with that. So I think just as long as you care and are interested in the client and trying to get the outcome for them, because everybody just thinks like, what's in it for me?
Yeah.
So rather than thinking about other people, so you don't have to worry too much about yourself because everyone else is just thinking about themselves.
Yeah. That's right.
Anyway, yeah, and we've had some clients that have really just helped us, put up frames. They've done some of the building works and things like that. So I think that's part of what we developed as a culture early on. So I think the important things of developing a private practice and starting from scratch is what you want the vision to be and develop the culture. Like our culture here is really inclusive and supportive of the clients, and we welcome all types of people, all conditions, and trying to integrate them into the general gym services as well as the exercise physiology services and everything in between. So everybody is helped because there was originally a gap in the market. And the reason why I thought, like fit clinic is going to be important is because I'd had a lot of people come to me and say, look, I want a personal trainer, but I've got a shoulder injury, or but I've got a knee problem or back problem. Well, what you need is actually an exercise physiologist, but nobody knows what an EP is. So accepting that people are going to call you a trainer, a coach, an exercise physiologist, whatever, don't be too precious about your title, because people are just going to come to you with the information that they understand at the time. So if you say, look, I'm an exercise physiologist, I'm not a personal trainer, then I'll say, well, that's not what I need. And then they might go elsewhere, but you might be the best person for them. So what do you know now that you wish you knew when we started here?
Oh, so many. I think I can't even think of. I don't know.
It's been so long.
No, yeah, I'm not sure. I don't know one that is kind of off the top of my head that I can be like.
If you knew what you were getting in for, that we're going to innovate and we're going to do a bit of trial and error to get to this point, would have you still done it?
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah. What is it about that you would have jumped in anyway that you went, oh, even though I know that it's early stage, do you just say yes to the job at the start?
Well, yeah, I think, I don't know, I've always been one of those type of people that will just try anything. So even if I don't know the end outcome, I'll still try it because I'm like, well, it can either be a total flop or it can be something amazing. So I've always...
This is the latter, right?
Yes, of course.
Good.
Yes, of course. But yeah, that's, so yeah, 100%.
Just jump in anyway, even if you're not sure what you're in for. Yeah. But it does take a certain type of personality to be able to be in early adopter private practice for the long term. Like you've got family that are in business as well. Do you think that was helpful to sort of see what?
Yeah, definitely. Definitely think that, you obviously know the challenges that they've gone through and you can kind of adopt a little bit of that or their experiences into what you do, but also the personality and mindset as well into kind of understanding what they've done. And you have essentially the same mindset to say, you know what, like I can understand the challenges they've gone through, but I will do this differently, kind of to learn from what they've done and apply it.
Yeah, like I didn't have any family that really was into entrepreneurship or anything like that. And like I said, I just started on a whim because, well, couldn't get my own job. Now the market's a little bit different, and I think there are much more opportunities. There are also more opportunities in some case management areas or things like that, and there's still probably better opportunities in private practice, but they're so varied. I think it's better now than it ever has been, but it still can definitely get better. So I think the important things are build a culture of teamwork. We focused on private clients. Like I don't know if it just sounds like you weren't so aware at the start, like what my mindset was, but we spoke about the culture of like being inclusive. And we started with focusing on private clients first, because I found early on when those people were coming to me saying, look, I've got shoulder injury, I've got a back injury, I've got these things and I need a personal trainer. I was like, well, these people are choosing to pay their own money to get a service, because in my view, third party sucks to a degree, because like WorkCover have just changed their rules. NDIS can change their rules at any time. DVA's already changed at some point. Medicare, the rebates didn't go up for 10 years or however long it was. So by default, all of these things are at the whim of whatever government organization is making the decisions. And if they're making things based on what they perceive as money saving, even though money spent on health is actually money saved.
Mm.
But many of the government organizations may not realize that at the moment. Like for NDIS, every dollar spent on NDIS, they're getting $2.25 back as well. But they're looking on, when you look at the campaign of the governments, they're looking at, okay, trying to take some money out, or basically the news articles were always about how much they're spending, and they were skewed towards that way. So I thought, well, if we focus on private clients, then people are going to choose their own money. You're up to the whims maybe of some inflation and things like that, but at least people are choosing to come to you themselves, and you're not putting all your eggs in one basket. So our biggest factors here that we started with, not everything was perfect, but we went, well, let's focus on culture of teamwork. Let's focus on private clients. And over the last 5 years, we've developed it into a package that we're actually a lot more systemized and developed from there.
I think it's also the, reliability of the type of clients as well. If someone is, I guess, spending their own money, you get a better outcome from those clients as well.
Yeah,
so
absolutely.
It's,
There's definitely a difference between clients that go, oh, I've been given some free Medicare sessions. Well, it's not free. That's the perception of it. And we get a lot better uptake of people that book and have chosen to book that are a private client because they're making the decision to come in. It's a lot more challenging, even though we explain to the people on Medicare, look, yeah, it's still a paid service, but Medicare is rebating it on your behalf, or partially rebate, depending upon how your systems are set up. But they still don't value it. So especially if they're being bulk billed, they value it less, as even if they were paying a partial fee, even if it's a small fee that is insignificant, it's still something that they're passing over. So they're making that commitment. I do find that basically the people that pay more also commit more.
Yep. 100%.
Whatever it is, like if you're paying $1,000 for a service, you'll be like, oh, I better commit
Get
to this.
the most out of it that
if I'm
you
paying
can.
$50, then whatever, or $50 might be a lot. So it's really just going to depend how much you value it at the end of the day.
Yeah.
So what do you find have been the best things about working with me, or working with the early stage private practice from initial to now?
So I think just the learning from my personal experience. So just the learning. So kind of being, because when I first started here, yes, I was still fresh out of uni. Like I'm gonna admit it. Like I did work as a personal trainer for a couple of years whilst I was at uni, but I kind of got that down packed in terms of communicating with clients and everything that comes with that. But then also all the systems. So not only trying to, I guess start essentially a business, but also the systems that come with being an EP as well, and navigating all of that. So I think the best thing was you being a mentor for me and kind of navigating everything that came along with that. And obviously I really appreciate that because I've obviously learned a lot. But yeah, just the whole learning experience that came along with that. Yeah.
Oh, that's good, because I look at it like some of the things you're saying, I've never heard this before.
Yeah.
And sometimes you don't really know what I'm going to ask either. But we obviously have been working together for 5 years, so pretty you're okay to be pretty blunt and upfront with me. And to be
Try
honest,
not to be too blunt, but
to be honest, I need it. I'd rather just more direct. And I think that's, if you're working with an entrepreneur, you're working with someone that is developing business, from my point of view, directness is best, and directness.
I mean, there has been some times that we've had to be like yes or no, or like, just be like, just give me a yes or no. That's it.
Yeah, like I said, anything more than 2 bullet points. Look, I'd say that, probably at different times I'm very distracted, and I do need people to keep me in check because I don't like to focus on the detail. And I find that's an interesting contrast to real world versus theory. Like we didn't have everything that we had now. There's been a real big shift now that we have a lot more. We're still in our facility. We're still in a facility that we started with, but we've probably got more equipment, more clients, more support. Also with that comes more admin as well. Yeah. So before you start, like, what do you wish you knew now before you got started as an EP? Like, what's advice that you can give to EPs starting out if they want to start in private?
Not everything is like uni. essentially. You finish uni and you're like, yes, I'm going to do this, and this. It never works that way. I've found, when I kind of left uni, I was very structured in my thinking in terms of what I would apply to clients. Now I'm definitely not. I'm a lot. You have your kind of list of things that you would do, or tests or exercises that you would prescribe to a client, but it's never actually what you would expect sometimes. So yeah, that's probably
Yeah, I think dealing with the
the one.
person
Yeah,
and seeing them as a person and how you can help them
definitely.
without them being a list of tests.
Yeah,
Like, I would say that I probably know the least about what test to apply for different scenarios. One, I also studied a long time ago, and things have definitely changed since then. But you did mention one thing earlier that I think has been a really big plus, because I started out the same way as well, as working as a personal trainer before you started as an EP, because it's all personal training. Like, as an EP, you're doing personalized training for somebody. It's
right.
just you're doing it with an EP mindset. So I think that the change from PT to EP is fluid. You're doing the exact same thing, just with a different list of conditions, a different style of client. But the mindset, the approach, getting to someone's goals, it just might be that the goal is different. So I know there is an element of people that train, they go to uni, they come out, and I was the same. Like, no, I don't want to be known as a PT. I want to be an EP. But the longer I do this career, realized early on that I don't really care what people call me at the end of the day. And I think the biggest shift was when those clients started calling me a PT and I was trying to build up a client base. Like, well, I shouldn't actually matter because I need clients. So they call me whatever they want.
Yeah.
So I dropped to the pretense as soon as it actually mattered whether I was actually going to see them or not.
Yeah, I think that's something that I kind of, maybe, I don't know if I struggled with, but you definitely helped me come to that realization as well. It's like, nothing's actually changed. You've got a qualification and you essentially are more knowledgeable than you were when you first started doing PT. But, it's the title doesn't really matter because you're still essentially providing the same service.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's good. So to be successful in business or to be successful as an EP, you've got to have some failures before successes.
Yeah.
Do you know what failures you made? Do I know about them?
Failures? Oh, I can't even count them on my hands how many I've made. It's too many.
Give us one.
The podcast will be like 2 hours long.
Still got a bit of time. What do you got for us?
Let's see. Maybe just understanding what the client wants. There's been times that you self-reflect all the time. I mean, I'm one of those people who I self-reflect on pretty much everything I do. After I see every client, after I have every conversation with someone, I self-reflect. And I think that's something that's really important being an EP. You essentially should be doing that from my perspective anyway. But just with clients and what their expectations are of when especially in initial assessment, whether you meet those expectations or not. There's been many times, and obviously you were in private practice, clients matter. And for them not to kind of come back after, you've done everything that you feel like you could have done for them. Maybe it didn't meet expectations for them, or, they just don't reply to you or whatever it may be. I think that's something that I find is sometimes a failure for me, and something that, I struggle to deal with, especially starting out. Now I'm a little bit more resilient to that, but yeah, I think it was initially like, past maybe, 3 years or something. Well, it's after I've started being an EP that I kind of struggled with. It would always be playing on my mind. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, if you've thought that you've done the best for them, and you potentially have, with the knowledge that you had, but they came in thinking that it was going to be different, and that's why they're not a list of conditions, and that's why we take a different approach now, is like, ask them straight up, what do they want out of this session?
Yeah.
And sometimes their expectations are not met because they don't have appropriate expectations. They're thinking, okay, I'm going to come in and I'm going to get a massage. I'm like, no, or I'm an EP. Well, you're not. And I've had that before, just so they weren't aware of what an EP was, and they'll just refer, the doctor said, oh, you need to go see an EP. Okay. And then you gave them exercise, you gave them some homework. Like, I didn't want homework, I just want a massage.
Yeah.
so
Or those clients that, you know, come in and they expect results really quickly, and it doesn't meet their expectations, and that, like, yeah, it's kind of no matter how much you educate them, I feel it's something that always
so
it's hard to challenging to deal with. Yeah.
So ask their expectations first,
Yes.
and then if they're not suitable for what the outcome is expected to be, then
maybe they're
discuss
not for
that
us.
with them.
But also, like, sometimes we can't be everything to everyone, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Because we do have a typical niche with our group sessions. We have a typical niche with the types of clients that we see, because we are, like, we've got a full gym, and we're not set up for maybe pediatrics at this point in time. So we're not for everybody at every time. We're higher priced than a commercial gym. You know, we're sort of, I think we're really valuable.
Yeah.
And our price point is really good.
Yes.
Sometimes too low, but that's our own expectations. But at the end of the day, you can't be everything to everybody. Otherwise, nothing to nobody. Because if we took on every bit of advice that members of the public or whatever gave us, we'd have all sorts of things going on. Like, for example, there's a public holiday tomorrow. I had to think, some people, why are you open? Next person, why aren't you open the whole day? So you're not going to be everything to everybody, and you've got to go, look, this is what we believe is appropriate and the best. And you will get clients outside your niche, because your niche is not your only target market, but you're actually better marketing towards your niche, towards people that you want to see. And you will get other people, but you also, if you market towards your niche, there's enough people for everybody. Like, we see 100 or just a little bit more people a week. We could see a few more, but like, there's tens of thousands or hundreds of thousands around this area within a geographic radius. Yeah, there's a commercial gym on every corner. And like I say, we're not competing against a commercial gym. I don't think we're competing against anyone, to be honest. But people from the outside will see that you're competing in essence. So they see it from the outside until they come in and they say, okay, that's a very different service. But you need to meet them where they're at, and then bring them along for the ride, depending upon your expectations. So what's a common myth about being an EP that you'd like to dispel right now?
Oh, I can't think of one off the top.
Probably like just that, I just help people lift weights or things like that, that, you know, people think that they're going to be exercised and run ragged, and it could be any spectrum of exercise. I think that's probably one of the biggest things of just not knowing what we can do.
Yeah, well, yeah, that's right. Yeah, you know what, 100% right. Like, I mean, when I think I explain to, whether it's someone off the street or a client, of what we do or what, you know, kind of service we can provide them, it's like, well, a lot of clients come in thinking that they're just going to, you know, be sore for the next, you know, week. But it's not always about that. It's not always about being, you know, pushed to your limits or anything like that. It's whatever your capabilities are and what they can tolerate right now, right? And I think there are some clients I find are a little bit surprised about the exercises that we provide, that we prescribe, and how kind of gentle they are, or not too intense. That, you know, you kind of build their trust that way, because they have a certain expectation, and I think it comes back to that. They have a certain expectation of, you know, what we do, and we kind of exceed that. That's that's probably something that a lot of people aren't really familiar with.
Yeah, and I think, like, for some people, gentle's the approach. Other people, maybe not so much, depending upon their outcome.
It just depends,
But at the same time,
I was thinking about one client in particular.
But that's the right thing, is they've got a view of, okay, we've got exercise in the title. We're going to be exercise. They see, you know, ads on TV or radio, wherever they get their media from, that, you know, exercising, jump, high intensity, and it might not be that. And they're like, oh, actually, I'm more comfortable here. And yes, the goal is still progressive overload over time to improve on whatever their situation is. But you got to meet them where they're at and what's best, because the first couple of sessions, like in my view, consistency is probably the biggest factor. And
Yeah.
if they're sore for a week, then you're not going to get them back. So you can build that up over time. But just the breadth of, the lifestyle interventions, the support we can give, and also what an EP is and how it differs or how it might be similar to other health professions or other activity type professions as well.
Yeah. I think a lot of it comes down to the kind of educating them on, how we can help them. There's actually in the group sessions, for example, there's a one client we have, she was so against having rest during the group sessions. And now whenever she's like, oh, I appreciate this rest so much, because she understands why a rest is needed. We can't just be, intense all the time.
Yeah, especially if
results.
It's strength training. You need appropriate rest to build tolerance and actually get the result. So it's about building the result. And if you don't meet their expectations, because they would have come in thinking, I just need to go, more is better. But
because that's probably what they're familiar with, or what they see all the time. And it's just.
Yeah. And then, no, we actually need rest. We need it appropriate. And then they get the results from that approach. And they're like, maybe they do know what they're talking about.
Exactly.
Actually, less is more. I was doing too much volume and not able to work hard enough because I was trying to do too much in a too short space of time that it actually wasn't fitting anything. Yes, I think that's an important thing, is meeting the person where they're at and then building their expectations and seeing where their expectations are. And if it doesn't fit with what the actual expectation should be, then sort of meeting them halfway and building their confidence and tolerance there.
That's it.
So why do you think you've been successful as an EP?
I think everything that we've discussed in terms of being able to roll with the punches, being open-minded, being able to adapt to any situation that's thrown at me. I mean, I know that I'm, initially I was always thrown in the deep end, which is which is good, because you learn so much. And I mean, you make so many mistakes. And
any more you need to tell me about?
I don't know. I'm pretty open with my mistakes. I'm a pretty honest person, but I think
so. It's okay to make mistakes
100%.
As long as you
fix them.
I'm pretty sure I've come to him like, hey, I stuffed this up. Can you help fix it? A few times. That's okay. It's not about knowing everything, but you can always say like, look, I'll get back to you about that, or I'm not sure. And it's okay to be that way.
Exactly. I think taking an honest approach to it and being, essentially saying, whether it's to a colleague, whether it's to a client, I don't know. So,
but I'll find out for you.
But I'll find out. Exactly. I'll learn. I will make sure that I know for next time.
Yeah. I think that's the important thing. You don't have to know everything from the outset, but you'll gain more over time. And the more knowledge you know, the less you think you know anyway.
Yeah. Yes.
So if people are just starting their career or starting as an EP in business, you mentioned that they just dive in and not everything is theoretical that goes into practice. Any other bits of advice?
Be a forever learner.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sounds good.
That's it.
Yep. So if you could pick the wisdom of someone dead or alive, who would it be?
Oh, I really thought about that.
Well, that's why I didn't hit you with a question straight away. It's interesting to just get your take. Here you go.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't really have, personally, I don't really have anyone that you know what? Actually, Brett Contreras.
Yeah.
He's probably one of those, like, being kind of someone that I've always admired in terms of. Yeah, I know he's alive. Well, you said dead or alive, so.
I'm just clarifying for people playing at home.
Yeah. So AKA the glue guy. No, but he's probably always someone that I've kind of admired in terms of his applicability to the type of research and training, and obviously biz as well. Like he seems like he's killing it.
He chose a very particular niche.
I know.
And has gone with it. So that's evidence that the niche works. You're not everything to everybody, but you're a little bit to a lot of people, and being an expert in one area is probably better in that way. So maybe I can ask him, see if he wants to be on the podcast. Maybe I might have to wait for a few more episodes. All right, I'll work on that. We'll get back to you. See if I just slide in his DMs or something. If you were an EP, what would you be?
Well, fun fact, I was initially going to be, initially when I left school, I wanted to be a PE teacher. I'm so glad I didn't, kind of thing.
Me too.
I feel like a lot of people like kind of went down that path and then went to an EP to become an EP. But yeah, probably, well, I don't know if I actually would be though, but at the moment, just finished building my house. I feel like I could be an architect or an interior designer.
You've learned some new skills along the way, and now you feel like you're on top of it.
Yeah,
So,
but no, I love being an EP. I
can't see it any other way.
No.
Well, thank you for coming on board and being
Thanks.
one of my right-hand people. From day one, not everything was perfect. It's still not perfect, but it's a hell of a lot better.
Mm-hmm.
And thanks for sticking out. So it was great to get your view on things and some of those things I didn't know. So it was interesting, but thank you.
No, thank you for trusting me.
Well, it was nice to go, hey, do you want to be on the podcast? Yep.
Yep, sure.
What are we going to speak about? So I like that you that was an example, just saying yes and then figuring it out along the way.
Yeah.
So that's probably an example of
that's how we roll.
How we roll. Sounds like a good idea. Or yours. Go for it.
Let's do it.
Yeah. So, that's just part of being an innovative practice where we're obviously trying to blend the private practice, the third-party schemes with the general fitness and everything in between. Not everything's going to work perfectly, but we want to make sure that we try our best, and not everything works perfectly, but it gets more perfect as we go along. That's a word, right?
It is now.
Okay, cool. All right, thank you. And I'll see you when we get off the call. No worries.